This Univision Town Hall with Kamala Harris, wow. Talk about seeing what's really going on with voters.
Yeah, it really felt like they got right to it, you know?
Yeah,
They wanted to know if she gets what they're going through.
totally. And you could tell these undecided Latino voters were looking for a real connection. Like they wanted to believe in something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they weren't afraid to ask the tough questions.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, we meet Ramiro Gonzalez, a construction worker in Pampa.
Oh, yeah, I remember Romero.
His story about his family being hit by both recent hurricanes, like back to back, just devastating. It really sets the stage.
It's like one punch and then another. And his frustration was palpable. I mean, this wasn't just about policy details, right? It was about a sense that the help they're getting, it wasn't reaching everybody.
Right, exactly. What's interesting is Harris responded with this story about being a prosecutor. She said she never asked victims about their political party or anything. She just wanted to know, are you okay?
Interesting.
It's subtle, but it's powerful,
Right.
right? It's like she's signaling, I'm here for you, I see you.
Yeah, like putting people first. And you could feel the audience pick up on that. That's what I love about these town halls. You get past all the noise and see the raw emotion that's driving these voters. But then we go from a story about hurricanes and rebuilding to iCast in Las Vegas.
Oh, I cast her story about her mother, Maria Dolores. It just stayed with me.
Heartbreaking.
It is, losing a parent is hard enough.
Yeah.
But her mom's immigration status meant she couldn't get the health care she needed. And that's a fear a lot of immigrant communities live with every single day.
And you see this wave of empathy wash over Harris as iCast is speaking. Like, she's not just responding as a politician, but as a daughter who gets it.
Right.
You know, she actually encourages iCast to remember her mother's life, her spirit, not just her death, which I thought was incredibly powerful.
Very human moment.
But you know what really threw me for a loop?
You got to tell me.
Murda's question. Here she is, 62 years old, struggling, I mean really struggling with homelessness, battling long COVID, and stuck waiting for disability support for who knows how long. And she asks Harris what her plan is.
Right.
And then ends with, "Make America Great Again."
Whoa, okay. Unexpected.
Right, talk about a curveball. It just shows you how complex voters can be.
Exactly. You can't put people in a box. Like, here's someone who, on the surface, seems to be with Trump's message, but she's looking to Harris for help. Makes you think.
Okay, so speaking of defying expectations, let's talk about the economy. Because Wendy from Los Angeles brings up something I think a lot of us feel. Even when they say inflation is down, my grocery bill is telling a different story.
Yeah, I feel that.
She said her grocery bills have gone up by $100.
$100. That's a lot.
That's what I'm saying, $100. It's a lot. And she's not alone. A lot of people are feeling that economic anxiety. It's like, you can't afford the things you used to. It's real. And Harris's response here is interesting because she talks about growing up middle class. You know, like she gets it.
Right. Trying to connect, to say, I've been there.
Exactly. But what I found insightful was how Wendy's story also brought up the challenges of the sandwich generation.
People taking care of their kids and their parents at the same time.
Exactly. It's a tough spot to be in, financially and emotionally. And Harris talks about caring for her own mother, which gives her a policy proposal to expand Medicare, to cover home health care. It gives it weight.
Adds that personal touch for
Yeah.
sure. But we haven't even gotten to immigration.
Oh, man, right. Immigration, which, let's be real, is going to be a deciding factor for a lot of these voters. It's such a big issue, and it's always framed as this impossible choice, you know, security or compassion. And Carlos from Yuma, Arizona, he really brought that tension to the forefront.
Yeah, Carlos's story was a good one.
He's talking about the strain on Border Patrol agents and the fear in these border communities. It's real.
It is, and it reminds us that this isn't just some abstract political debate happening in D.C. It's people's lives.
Exactly. And I think Harris did a good job of navigating that whole thing, you know? Like, she acknowledged the need for security, but she also emphasized humane solutions.
She didn't shy away from it, which I think is important.
And the fact that she talked about her experience prosecuting criminal organizations, I mean, that's huge.
Shows she's been in the trenches.
Yeah.
Right, she's dealt with this stuff firsthand.
Yes, exactly. But then we hear from Jesus. He's a first-time voter, a dreamer himself, and you could feel the whole mood shift.
Oh, yeah, I remember Jesus. He was nervous, right? You could tell.
You could. It's like everyone was holding their breath. The vulnerability in his voice when he talked about the fear dreamers live with every day, it got to me.
Especially when he brought up dreamers serving in the military.
Yeah.
Man, talk about putting your life on the line for a country that hasn't fully embraced you yet.
It really makes you think. And that sense of urgency, it carries over into the healthcare conversation too. Francisco, who works for the Department of Defense, he shared the story. And it's just, I mean, can you imagine having to go to Mexico for treatment when you supposedly have good insurance?
Yeah, what is that?
It's crazy, right? It just shows how broken things are.
Even for people who, on paper, should have access to the best care, right?
Exactly. And it was the perfect setup for Harris to talk about healthcare as a right, not a privilege.
Which is a message that resonates with a lot of voters, for sure.
Absolutely. And she backed it up with specifics, too. Lowering insulin costs, taking on those big drug companies to lower prescription prices. These are things that directly impact people's lives.
It's like she came prepared to show she's been doing the work.
Right, exactly. It's not just talk, it's action. But you know what was really interesting? Of all the questions, the one that seemed to give Harris the most pause, it wasn't about healthcare. It wasn't about immigration. It was about something else entirely.
Don't tell me.
Teresa's question about valuing people you disagree with.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that one stopped me on my tracks, too. You could feel the energy in the room change.
Right, like we went from these massive, complex issues to this very human, very personal question. And you could tell it caught Harris off guard. She seemed to be searching for the right words, you know?
Yeah, like she wasn't expecting to have to go there.
Exactly. In the end, she kind of pivoted back to policy. But that question, it lingered. It made me think about how polarized everything is these days.
It's like we've forgotten how to disagree respectfully, you know?
Totally. And it made me wonder, what if the key to moving forward, to actually solving these problems, isn't just about policies, but about rediscovering that human connection?
Yeah.
About remembering that we're all in this together.
It's a powerful thought, and it's something I think a lot of us are grappling with right now.
Yeah. And speaking of those human moments, Christian's question about abortion rights. That was another one that really cut to the core of a deeply personal issue.
Yeah, you could feel the tension in the room rise with that one.
Absolutely. It's such a divisive topic, and it forces you to confront your own values, your own beliefs, in a very direct way. And I think Harris handled it well. She acknowledged the weight of the issue while also being clear about where she stands.
It's a tough line to walk, but she did it.
For sure. And, you know, it's moments like these that remind you that elections aren't just about choosing a president. They're about so much more than that.
They're about values, about the kind of world we want to live in, about who we are as a nation.
Exactly. And this town hall, it really brought all of that to the surface. The personal stories, the anxieties, the hopes for the future. It was a reminder that behind all the political noise, there are real people's lives at stake.
Real people with real problems looking for real solutions.
Exactly. And sometimes those solutions, they start with a simple question, like how do we value those we disagree with? How do we bridge the divides and find common ground? It's something to think about. That's for sure. It makes you think, you know? Like we talk about these voters as this group or that group, but this town hall, it just reminded me that behind all the labels, we're all just people trying to figure things out.
Absolutely. We're all dealing with stuff, right?
Right. And that's why that question about disagreeing but still valuing people, it really stuck with me, you know?
It's a good question for all of us, honestly, especially these days.
It really is. It's like we've gotten so used to seeing the other side as the enemy that we've forgotten how to just listen, you know?
And how to talk to each other without yelling.
Exactly. And it makes me wonder, like, what if that's the key to getting things done? What if it all starts with remembering that we're all human?
That's a powerful idea.
Right.
And it's not about agreeing on everything, because we won't.
Yeah.
It's about respecting each other, even when we see things differently.
It's about remembering that at the end of the day, we're all in this together, right? Whether we like it or not.
We are. This town hall was a good reminder of that. Real people, real stories, real struggles.
And those stories, they matter. They remind us what's at stake. And maybe, just maybe, they can help us find a way forward together.
It's a nice thought, right?
It is. It really is. Anyway, this was a good one. Thanks for diving into this with me.
Anytime. Always good to unpack these things.
That's for sure. Until next time.